Good evening and thank you for joining me on Black News Tonight. I'm Marc Lamont Hill. Our top story of the night, the trial of R. Kelly. Today's testimony coming from Jane Doe number 5. She says she met R. Kelly back in 2015 in Orlando, Florida, in his hotel room. And she says her intent was to further her career and that Kelly pressured her into giving him oral sex. She says while in Orlando, they were interrupted by police. Officers looked at her ID card and saw that she was 17, but did nothing and left the room. After several sexual encounters with the singer, Jane Doe number 5 says she was diagnosed with herpes. When she confronted the singer, she says he jokingly told her, "Everyone has it." She went on to say that Kelly proposed that she attend her senior year of high school remotely while living with him in Chicago. Her parents agreed, and she was put in the care of a woman Kelly knew. Earlier today, Kelly's lawyer tried to discredit his former tour manager, Demetrius Smith. Smith testified, of course, on Friday that Kelly feared he'd gotten the late singer Aaliyah pregnant, so he paid a $500 bribe in 1994 in order to get a fake ID so that he could marry Aaliyah. When asked if Kelly had anything to do with the bribe, Smith said no. Turning now to the latest on COVID-19, the Food and Drug Administration now granting Pfizer's vaccine full approval. The vaccine was previously available in the U.S. under Emergency Use Authorization. Now, this full approval could help ease concerns from those who have been hesitant to get the shots. Experts say full approval could also open the door to more vaccine mandates. The full FDA approval has only been granted for those 16 and older. BNC's Janine Donaldson has more.
I'm getting it because it's too many people catching too many people catching COVID, and I really don't want it. And if I do catch it, I want to be able to fight off the virus as much as possible.
Quetta Patton pulled up to a vaccine clinic in Charlotte after learning the Pfizer vaccine was approved by the FDA.
I'm kind of scared being said that it's not going to completely vaccinate us, but being that it's approved, I feel much better now to do it.
So that was what got you to come down today?
Yes.
The approval comes as the Delta variant causes COVID cases to spike across the country among mostly unvaccinated people.
We see the worst case overloads for ICU beds and pediatric ICU beds in places that have the least amount of vaccinated populations. So the South has been, at this point, a real hotbed. Texas all the way through Florida, all the way up through the eastern seaboard.
BNC Chief Medical Correspondent Dr. Corey Hebert says the vaccine was safe to use before the approval, and nothing's changed.
The FDA wasn't waiting to see if this was safe before they gave the full approval. The FDA has to go through the processes to make sure that they've reviewed all the data, and it is literally an administrative process.
According to the CDC, Black people in the United States still have the lowest vaccination rates of any racial or ethnic group, with just over 30% receiving at least one dose of the COVID vaccine, while just 26% are fully vaccinated. Dr. Aaron Piramzadian, Chief Medical Officer for StarMed Healthcare in North Carolina, says the situation is like pouring gasoline on a ticking time bomb.
You have a situation where you have a large unvaccinated population. You have the same population that's already at risk for death. You're putting all this together with an upcoming season of very bad flu, an upcoming season of this Delta variant that we're worried is going to keep mutating.
Black people are 3 times more likely to be hospitalized or die from COVID. Dr. Hebert is pleading with the community to get the shot, saying if you've been hesitant, let the FDA Pfizer approval be your reason to get it now.
The thing that's going to make this needle move is people saying, don't come to work and you're not going to get paid unless you get vaccinated. Because if you don't get vaccinated and you get infected, these are the cases where the variants actually come from.
Dr. Hebert estimates within the next 45 days, more companies and universities will mandate workers and students be vaccinated. Health officials warn those against the vaccine.
With FDA approval, it now allows companies to feel safer to do so. And there's almost no grounds for anyone to actually refuse it from a company standpoint.
The Defense Department will soon require all U.S. service members to be vaccinated. The Pentagon's press secretary said the move was in response to the Food and Drug Administration's decision to fully authorize the Pfizer COVID-19 vaccine.
Timeline for vaccination completion will be provided in the coming days. The health of the force is, as always, of our military and our civilian employees, families, and communities is a top priority.
As uncertainty continues to sweep through Afghanistan, many are seemingly desperate to leave the country. But a local news outlet in Uganda, Africa, reports that Afghans looking to flee Kabul refused to board a plane headed to the East African nation. The Daily Monitor, a Ugandan news publication, claims evacuees from conflict-torn Afghanistan did not want to be taken to the country. According to the report, one man said, "I'd rather die in Kandahar than go to Africa." In addition, several evacuees expressed disappointment over Uganda being their destination, with some asking where Uganda is located within Africa, according to the Daily Monitor. Ugandan officials have confirmed that the country is taking in more than 100 evacuees from Afghanistan. The rest of Africa is also paying close attention to what's happening in Afghanistan as Taliban forces take over. Islamist groups in Africa see the resurgence of the Taliban as an encouraging sign, with some celebrating as they continue their violent campaigns in various countries on the continent. Media outlets across Africa have posted stories through their publications, and citizens are voicing their concerns on social media, imploring the governments of Mozambique, Nigeria, Somalia, Mali, and other nations to get their insurgencies under control. Now, an update on a story that we covered here on Black News Tonight. Last June, I interviewed the executive director of Amnesty International, Kenya. We talked about the arrest and the later release of a Kenyan migrant worker and labor activist in Qatar. 28-year-old Malcolm Badali was arrested after blogging about the inhumane conditions for migrant workers in Qatar. He was kept in solitary confinement and without legal representation for 3 weeks. A Qatari government official statement regarding his initial arrest read as follows: Mr. Badali has been formally charged with offenses related to payments received by a foreign agent for the creation and distribution of disinformation within the state of Qatar. But get this, later he was charged with broadcasting and publishing false news with the intent of endangering the public system of the state. He was fined $6,800, plus his cell phone and media accounts were seized by the authorities. The good news is an anonymous migrants' rights group covered the costs and the fines, and Malcolm Badali has left Qatar. But the sad news is a voice for exposing migrant abuse in the country has now been silenced. All right. And a dream come true for 2 Tulsa massacre survivors ends. Viola Mother Fletcher and Hugh's Uncle Red Van Ellis spent 9 days in Ghana. The two granted Ghanaian citizenship. The trip, all part of a government campaign to give African descendants a chance to go back home. The mission is to bridge the gap between Africans and the diaspora, and the social media app Our Black Truth and the Diaspora Africa Forum paid for the trip. Look at that. That is so incredibly beautiful. Welcome home. Everybody, be sure to join the conversation. We want to hear from you. Head over to our BNC Instagram and Twitter pages. Let us know how you feel. Also, you can visit our you can visit our website, bnc.tv, and you can subscribe to the YouTube page. You can check out all the clips from the show. You can follow all the conversations we be having. You can also check out Black News Tonight on all social media platforms. Everybody's still to come on the show tonight. Playwright and producer Antoinette Nwandu is going to drop by.